Yo, what's going on everybody? Alex with you here again. Thanks for dropping by. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at not just another chess set, but the perfect chess set. Or at least that's what it says on the box. Not just another chess set, the perfect chess set. I kind of feel like this might be almost like the little brother to the best chess set ever. The video, by the way, that has amassed the greatest amount of views on my channel is the best chess set ever. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, I guess a lot of people out there that are looking for a really good chess set are probably bound to be typing in something along the lines of the best chess set ever into the search bar, and they are finding my video and subsequently the chess set. I wonder if by making this video here, it will also end up over the long run getting a bunch of views because, well, maybe people are also typing in the perfect chess set. So we'll take a look at that, see how that experiment's gonna go. Perhaps I should make a subsequent video where I'll compare the best chess set ever to the perfect chess set. But yeah, I got this little guy from Amazon. I think it retailed for about $47 or so. So not terribly expensive. There were two different weigh options. I'm going to put a link in the description below where you can find this. And so in this video, hopefully we'll take a look and see for ourselves if we believe this is indeed the perfect chess set. And quite frankly, the perfect chess set is kind of a subjective term. So we're going to put it to the test. You guys will take a look, I will take a look, and we'll kind of decide whether or not this is the perfect chess set. Actually, I already opened it. I was literally going to make it a surprise for myself and you so we could like together open this, and then my camera just like, I pressed the pause button after opening and my camera started recording and I was like, uh-oh, it happens every once in a while, or things like that happen, or like my microphone will not work and then I'll record a bunch of videos and then end up realizing that I have absolutely no voice in them. One of the things that I want to mention in the beginning is just the overall box and the way that it looks. It's a pretty heavy box. On the back side here, it says it's quad-weighted chess set with the 2 extra queens, with the king height being 4.125 inches, which is pretty up there. It's not a 4.4, but it's reasonably tall. We're gonna say it's tournament size. You get 2 silicone boards in here. I guess the silicone boards are a little bit on the thick side, and that's probably what gives this box the extra weight. You get a 1-year warranty, and most importantly, in this box you get some kind of a link to chess tutoring. So you get 4-hour chess tutoring course. I'm not sure if it's like a pre-made or prefabricated chess video similar to you going somewhere on YouTube and just finding some chess master who gives courses. But yeah, we'll take a look. For me, a second time. For you guys, the first time. I'm going to bring my camera up close and we'll take a closer look, see what's inside of the box. Kind of a little bit of an awkward angle up there, but hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this with me. Yeah, so not just another chess set, the perfect chess set. I have to say that aesthetically, the box looks really nice. I really like this whole rainbow splatter explosion over the king. It looks really cool. Kind of, if I had to do another chess logo for my chess channel, this would be kind of cool to follow. I'm not going to do this one, and you know, a lot of people are used to the way that my logo is, but still, this looks kind of cool. So from an aesthetic standpoint, I think this box is really designed to be sold on the shelf somewhere. So yeah, so quad weighted pieces, 4.125 inches tall king, online training program, 2 silicone boards, with the size of 20 by 20 inches. Then we're gonna go ahead and open this box up. It's got this nice seal. Boom. We got these 2 introduction little pamphlets here. One of which basically shows us how you can take care and clean the board, how you fold the board. This is an interesting way of folding it. You kind of sort of put it in almost like you're folding it in 3, sort of like what we do when we fold a letter to put it in the envelope, and then you roll it up. I guess it's the best way to ensure that it's going to fit inside of this box, because I guess the way that this box is designed to be sort of nice and heavy duty, they suppose you're going to keep everything inside of the box as far as storage. And yeah, so storage, put the chess pieces in a drawstring bag and store with the rolled board in the box. Although here it shows 1 bag and 1 board, but we get 2 bags and 2 boards. So if you're interested in any of the other chess sets that are provided, you can scan this QR code or go to their website here. They also, it looks like they're making these giant chess sets, chess pieces, and oversized outdoor games. 1-year warranty. This is sort of cool, especially considering like if you're buying this for the kids and you want to make sure that their chess set is going to last them for at least a year. We want your chess set to stay perfect, which is why we will replace any broken parts or pieces for up to 1 year. Register using this QR code. This whole pamphlet here is very heavy on QR codes. Scan, scan, scan. My Android doesn't scan QR codes, so I can't. Yeah, so I can't really do much with the QR codes, but it is what it is. Yeah, Mega Chess. ThePerfectChessSet.com, MegaChess.com. Check out their web pages. Chess Skill Comprehensive Chess Program. You get our 4-hour online chess class, teaches you the basics of chess, the concepts, principles, terminology, notation, how to win in 4 moves, how to avoid beginning mistakes. Strategies and tips include opening tactics and endgame principles. Advanced training videos, different things that they're going to teach you. Looks like they're using this YouTube chess master Nelson Lopez with over 150,000 subscribers. So I'm going to check out his channel. You guys probably would like to check out his channel as well. But sounds really cool. I wonder if this 4-hour online training class is just basically a bunch of his videos uploaded onto the webpage. But we'll have to take a look, and I'll let you guys know in the description how that works out for me. Yeah, so I already opened these up. They were initially in like a little sealed bag, but you get 2 boards, one of which is this sort of black and white. One thing I have to say is as soon as I took it out of the bag, it smells really, really strong, very chemically, so I guess you gotta like air these boards out. That is one of the things that I've heard a lot of people comment on as far as the silicone chessboards do sometimes have a very strong smell. I'm not sure how long it would take to air these out, if they will ever lose the smell, but right now, woo, smells like a permanent marker smell, like very, very strong. But I do have to say, really nice notation, very, very nice, neat lettering here. Not capital lettering, but very nice and bold. So that's good to see, and the numbers here on both sides are really, really nice and easy to read. We get 1 board. I'm not really a big fan of silicone boards. I've mentioned that before on my channel. I like mousepad boards more, but this is what you get with this one, and I think the silicone boards are kind of the standard most of the time, where like you get these particular chess sets, you'll get these silicone boards. Yeah, green and white, really nice. I'm more of a fan of a green and white as opposed to black and white. So if I were to use this chess set regularly, I would probably end up using this instead of the black and white one. Or I would end up just buying a mousepad board or just using one of the ones I have. But I find that silicone boards are a little bit kind of bouncy, in my opinion. Get these 2 little bags. The Perfect Chess Set names is kind of imprinted on them. They are nice and sort of velvety feel, nice and soft. They got these little drawstrings here at the very top. Inside, they were actually in like a Ziploc package, but I've already took them out. Like I said, I've done the opening initially where I thought it recorded it, but it didn't. So, okay, so here we have the light pieces. I just sort of arranged them all in order to show you guys sort of the drop-off line. We're looking at sort of the proportionality of the individual pieces with respect to one another, and kind of getting an idea as far as whether we feel like maybe the queen is of the appropriate height. We've seen this sort of little nuance right over here. I know with I believe with the best chess set ever, a lot of people mentioned that the queen was a little bit too short. What do you guys think about the height of the queen here with respect to the height of the bishop? I think that if we set the bishop next to the queen, we can see that height-wise, the queen is just a tiny bit taller. Should the queen be a little bit taller for like the ideal proportions? In your opinion? Obviously, everything stems from the height of the king being the tallest piece. Most of the time in most chess sets, that's going to be the biggest piece, the widest, and with usually the broadest base. Based on all the different kings that I've reviewed, I think we're sort of like in the normal standard design. We've got a nice broad base. We do get this sort of a green felt with these pieces. It's not super thin. I would probably call it sort of more on the thin side. Not the thinnest I've seen, but a little bit thin. You guys can see because it's hard for me to kind of give you guys an idea of how thick or thin the felt is, but I think the best way that I could give you that example is by just looking at the way the light reflects and whether or not we see any little hairs extending out from it. And in this case, we can kind of tell the type of fabric that is used. Sort of on the thin side, not many little hairs extending out of it. So, but first of all, the fact that this chess set's really designed and made to be played on the silicone board, I really don't think you're gonna ever have a problem with the felt being too thin. Not for a silicone board. To be honest with you, I don't even think you need felt for a silicone board because the board itself is kind of rubberized, so there's always going to be a little bit of that give. And yeah, in that case, felt's really not that important. Now, even in a vinyl board or a mousepad board, I don't think that should be a problem. If you're getting a wooden board and you're using these pieces, I still think you'd be fine. It's enough felt for you to be playing with this chess set comfortably. How long is this felt going to last you over the years? It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think if you take care of your chess set, you should be fine. I don't think you're going to run the risk of this felt sort of breaking apart on you too fast. The queen and the king's bases are sort of the biggest. And then we have a little bit of a drop off here to the bishop, which is the one that's in the middle right here. Then we have about the same widths, maybe a little bit larger here and the largest here. And then this should appropriately be kind of like the smallest. But still pretty big bases, I think, for plastic chess pieces of this height. This would probably be the appropriate base dimensions, in my opinion. The broader the bases, obviously, you always have to take into account how well are they going to fit on the individual squares. And I think that this 20 by 20 inch board is enough of a size to be, to feel comfortable. The king is just a little pressed inside of his square. You can kind of see this, but not too much, not too bad. Honestly, I don't think that you're going to feel like this chess set feels too cramped or anything like that. I really like the bishop in this particular chess set. I like this sort of shape here. It's kind of oblong a little bit on top. Some bishops come in like a little bit more of a rounded top, but I particularly like the cut here. This is more of a semi-classic look. I know some plastic chess sets will come with a very sort of a sharp small cut. Some will come without any cut at all. They'll just kind of emphasize, make like a little tiny groove in it or an indentation. But in this case, it's a through and through cut and it looks really nice. It kind of starts off, in fact, a little bit narrower here at the very top and sort of drops down and becomes just a little bit wider towards the bottom. So that's really cool. It kind of makes this top portion feel like it's sort of doing this number like that. So kind of nice. I really like the overall shape of this particular bishop, and proportionality looks really nice. I know I'm kind of jumping back and forth, but the queen, in my opinion, could be a little bit taller, just a little bit taller. The very top of the queen has a very sharp spikes here. I don't really know how I feel about the sharp spikes. I think the best chess set ever had the same thing. Little tiny, sort of subtle, but at the same time, maybe not super subtle. The top of the queen kind of feels small a little bit. Past these little rings here, you just have this just a little bit of a projection that sort of indicates that this is a queen, but not a whole lot. My personal preference, I like these little sharp areas to be a little bit more rounded. Perhaps if they could drop the rings just a slight bit lower and maybe sort of made this top part here diverge out a little bit, that would be nice aesthetically, but every chess set's different, and every chess set sort of tries to accomplish something that makes the overall chess set look aesthetic. Overall, the knight looks very slick. The face here narrows in pretty quick. The shape of the horse's head looks natural. Narrow top head here, but overall it sort of transitions into a nice body. It's got a little bit of a groove here that kind of goes from this tummy back into the base. This is one of the things that also sort of changes amongst different chess sets, is how much of a projection does sort of the belly have on individual chess sets. Slight open mouth with just top teeth present. Little tiny ears towards the back. They're not really extending outwards too much, just sort of like makes it a streamlined look. They have the mane start off at the top, and then it sort of disappears right around to where the ears are, and then it picks up after the ears and goes backward. There is on the face a couple of different lines that once again sort of give this definitive feature of the face. And then we have a couple of lines on the body too that gives it that three-dimensionality and kind of makes it look more lifelike, as opposed to perhaps some chess sets where the knights look more cartoonish, sort of like the Dubrovnik. I know like the Fischer-Spassky chess set, theirs is more of a blunt face. It's very standard, not super unusual knight. The rook, a lot of people commented, a lot of people have different opinions as far as what should the height of the rook be in comparison to the height of the knight. Should it be lower than the knight? Should it be taller? I've heard some people that said that they actually think that the rook height should be either as tall as the bishop, but definitely taller than the knight. Some people say smaller rooks is more ideal. So everybody has kind of a differing opinions on it. Overall, it's a broad, nice, broad rook. The top here we can see has pretty thick walls around, sort of a nice fortress feel. And a very broad base too. So it's a good stable and a kind of a heavy rook here. And then we have the pawn. The pawn is actually kind of nice. We've seen pawns that range from being too small to ones that range to be a little too big. The diameter of the ball here changes a lot too. In some situations, I've seen this ball to be a little too small. If the ball is too big, it actually kind of looks funny. So if they make this way too big, where it's bigger proportionately than it needs to be, it may throw off the aesthetics of the pawn, and therefore throw off the aesthetics of the whole chess set. But in this case, I think that they didn't want to kind of sway too much from the norm, and we've got pretty much a normal pawn. As far as the weight goes of the pieces, the king actually weighs in at 77 grams. So 77 grams, I was a little bit wrong. I thought it was going to be more in the 60s, but 77 is pretty heavy. Most of that weight is actually going to be at the bottom. Yeah, we got most of that weight at the bottom. So they're putting in quite a large chunk of metal here at the bottom base, which they're covering up by that felt, in order to give these pieces a nice, good feeling weight. Queen is going to be at 56. So yeah, 56 grams. Bishop is 43. Knight is at 63. So 43, 63, a heavier knight than the bishop by 20 grams. And then the rook is at 62. So 62, 63, they're about the same weight. And then the pawn is going to measure at, whoa, the pawn is measuring at 35 grams. That's probably one of the heaviest pawns that, let me just double check. 35 grams. That's probably the heaviest pawn that I've reviewed, period. Probably the heaviest one. That's really cool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how the dark pieces look. Hopefully you guys are able to kind of get an idea from this particular angle. I didn't want it to be too close up because there's really not that many defining little details that I wanted to share. But by the way, the finials are pretty standard. Nothing unusual here. A nice sort of normal finial. It's got a little button at the very top, and then it sort of goes into this little cross, on top of which we have this sort of a little ball here, and everything's sort of fused together. These pieces do have seam lines, but they're very, very minor. I wish I could kind of show you guys a little bit better, but if I sort of move this piece around, there will be a seam line somewhere. but they did a pretty good job at sort of polishing out this chess set to where that seam line's almost non-existent unless you're really scrutinizing and looking at these pieces up close. It's nice. I think the finish is pretty good. It doesn't look like, as some of the cheaper chess sets, the seam line is just so obvious, and you're like, well, they could have done a little bit better job at hiding that. On the light pieces, you don't actually even perceive the seam line. I think the seam line is going to be more noticeable on the dark pieces. So now we've got the dark queen here. So then the bishop. Everything's the same with regards to the dark pieces, not much different. Then the rook and the pawn. So very nice chess set overall. I like the matte finish on these chess pieces. I've had some plastic chess pieces that are a little bit more glossy, but I do like, or at least I prefer more to have that sort of a matte finish just because it's not so striking in your eyes. And if you're in a room that's like super brightly lit, the matte finish just looks nicer. I mean, the glossy might feel more rich, but the matte is really the way to go in my opinion. Very practical, very good. King here, 76 grams. I am assuming they're going to weigh about the same. 56 grams for the queen, 42 grams for the bishop, 62 grams for the knight, 60 grams for the rook, and 35 grams for the pawn. So about the same, plus minus 1 gram here or there. Really nice, really nice. Let me go ahead and set up these pieces here on the individual boards and kind of show you how they look. Let me sort of start off by showing you guys how these chess pieces here look on this board, at least on the green and white silicone board that is provided with this chess set. Proportionately, as I've mentioned before, the only piece here that might feel a little bit cramped is the king, but for the most part, given that the king is usually the tallest piece and has the broadest base, it's usually okay to have the king being this cramped as long as the other pieces don't feel too small in the squares, and I feel like that's a small sacrifice to make, and the other pieces look very nice. The most important thing is that the pawns are nice and large and heavy, and they look very good on the squares. They look like they've been made well proportionately. The black pieces here on this side also look really nice. They fit really well and look nice on this board. If I had to ask for any changes or anything, I would probably say that although at this time to you guys it might be hard to tell, but I can see this in real life, I feel like the board itself is a bit too contrasty for my taste. It looks nice. It looks nice, don't get me wrong. And sometimes you need that nice contrast between the squares, but maybe if they could make the green a little bit more mixed with sort of like a, I don't know, if the green was not a striking green, but rather just a little bit more on like vintage look, then I would feel like it would be perfect overall. The notation on the side here looks really nice too. On one side we have the numbers running one way, on the other side we have the numbers running the other way. Same goes for the lettering. So for anybody that is just beginning to play chess and want a nice board with notation, this is a good board. Let me set this up on a tripod and kind of show you what I feel like as far as the overall playability on this chess set. So yeah, this is kind of what the board looks like. The chess pieces don't really slide readily on this particular chess board. The silicone chess board is usually one of the boards that I try not to buy by itself if I don't like see a reason for, and I usually don't see a reason to buy these silicone boards. As nice as they are and as inexpensive as they are to make, I like the ability to be able to slide my pieces. Anyways, where else would I be able to share with you guys one of my games? I was playing this game yesterday, in fact, and sometimes I have an inclination to share. I'm not a very strong chess player. In fact, I saw a t-shirt recently that said, I play chess not because I'm good at it, but because I like to play. And I felt like I can resonate with that very well. But why not? I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys a game that I played. I was playing as the light. Had to switch my bishop and knight here. Sorry, guys. Yeah, well, anyways, so I started my game off with the usual e2 to e4. The reply was e7 to e5, kind of a normal thing, more or less. Then I went with the knight opening, kind of, you know, very, very standard, nothing unusual here yet. Then I went with the Scotch. Scotch opening kind of allows me, it's an opening that I do quite often. It sort of opens up both of the bishops here. It allows me for a free roam of the queen. So in this case, the opponent has a different way to reply. The opponent may end up developing another knight. In some situations, I've seen all kinds of different things. But he went ahead and accepted, to which I went ahead and took here. Now at this point, sometimes they'll actually bring out the bishop to kind of start attacking this part here and this pawn, and sort of forcing me to exchange knights or maybe to move the knight back. That's exactly what they've done here in this particular case. Sometimes they do take with the knight instead, and then I would follow up by taking their knight with my queen, me being kind of attacked from two different points here. I went ahead and took. Now at this point, if they had taken with this pawn, normally my reasoning is I'll just go ahead and trade queens. And that way I'll kind of cause their king to lose their privileges of castling. And then in this case, I'm always kind of looking at this pawn here as a way to maybe fork the king to the rook here. But in this case, they took back with this pawn here. Yeah, they doubled things up here, but at least they allow themselves to open up this bishop here. And hopefully kind of going forwards, they could do this and then undouble their pawns. So it seems like it's the right idea, but I also recognize this and I sort of want to prevent this from undoubling. I want to keep this sort of in this disadvantage here. So at this point, you know, maybe not the best move, but I figured why not? I'm going to go ahead and put pressure on this pawn here down the road, maybe start exerting some pressure here along the diagonal, and also protect here. Because one of the things that I thought is sometimes they'll go a little crazy and they'll want to do this sort of sacrifice early on, causing me to bring my king out, and then they'll come out with the queen, and then all of a sudden I'm kind of at a big disadvantage here. I have kind of some ways to protect myself, but I don't necessarily like that option. So in order to prevent him from taking my pawn here, I went ahead and kind of protected at the same time, sort of starting to attack here. And I know that he hasn't developed this side yet, so this side's kind of messed up a little bit. Now he went ahead and thought, hey, why not go ahead and start developing this bishop here, maybe find a way to attack me, I suppose. But I went ahead, and this is where I really don't want to lose the momentum by taking it out. Here I'm doing a couple of things. First of all, I'm kind of opening up the space here for my king to maybe castle soon. And I'm also putting pressure on this pawn immediately because I don't want him to develop, or I don't want him to sort of do some other things that might give him advantage. I want him to focus on this area here right away. And he, of course, recognizes this and plays with the development of the knight. He develops this knight, and at the same time, he sort of prevents this attack from happening. He's probably thinking he's going to castle next time, but I also recognize that now I can pin this knight directly to the queen, and so I take out my other bishop. Usually they have this bishop here in this square, but in this case I also recognize that he can't readily go back here because he sort of prevented the bishop from, essentially he locked his bishop in, so this was kind of a good move. But he utilized this to, he now went ahead and proceeded with castling because I guess he realized that this is going to be a good time since this pawn is still going to be under attack. It's a good time to go ahead and get this done. Now I recognize that I have this double attack on this knight, and I went ahead and took because I figured I'm going to mess up his pawn structure here if I can't do it now. He went ahead and took. Now he could have acted otherwise, but he took. And I took. I don't mind playing without queens, and he went ahead and took. So he ended up with this sort of doubled up pawn here, doubled up pawns here. And at that point I went ahead and castled because I figured, well, this might be a good time in order to avoid further attacks. kind of protect your king here. Now he's looking at maybe opening up this, moving this forward, so he takes out the bishop right over here. And I went and put my rook here because I'm thinking I don't want to necessarily, if he does this on the next move, because you always have to think of what's the opponent going to do. Is he's going to do this? I don't want to do that. I want to go forward. And so that way, I don't want him to undouble these pawns. So that's where my thinking was. I put out the rook for that particular purpose. He exactly did this part, which I thought he was going to do, but he's attacking my bishop here, so I can't readily go here. I didn't want him to sort of have a good position here because I wanted him to sort of keep that disadvantage. So I went back and therefore instead of being active, I was more of like, hey, you want to take my pawn? You want to do this? I'm going to be at a better position here. Or at least that was my thought process. Like I said, I'm not really good at chess most of the time, but I had a thought process going, guys. He put an extra pressure on this, and also, if I took, this could potentially put me in quite a pickle because he could go here, and then even though I could, you know, protect here, it's still a problematic situation. So yes, he did the right thing. He is preventing my pawn from moving. I took this knight out. Now this is where it's going to get kind of interesting. I took the knight out here. I'm protecting this, and what he does is, well, actually, what he did is somewhat of maybe like a loss of tempo. I'm not sure why he acted this way, but he went here instead. What he should have probably done is pushed right away. He should have pushed this pawn forward, but he didn't. And what I did is help to sort of prevent him from doing this and sort of locking in my knight the same way that I lock his pieces. Now he moves. Now he's wanting to, but I already, before he even moved, I already saw the position of putting my knight here to attack here. So that was what one of my things is what I had in mind is I knew he was going to move this at some point, and he did. This is a good sort of solid move here, but I feel like he's getting to a point where he might start to overextend this piece, and then I'll just be able to take it without too much difficulty. I did go here, and he actually came out here. He likewise didn't want to lose the bishop right away, since he didn't have a good way to protect it. I mean, I guess he could have came out here, but then he would still be at a disadvantage. But instead, he's trying to make sure that this square is protected in case I move forward. And he's probably eyeing this one here too, but there's no additional chess piece for him to be able to really attack here unless he found a way to come here. Because he's, you know, he's lacking the force necessary to execute something like that at this time. And then what I did is I went ahead, and this is where an overextended pawn is going to basically be. Instead of taking, he actually helped the pawn a little bit. This is something that they said was a mistake based on analysis, but I went here, okay? Instead of taking here, and I went here, and my reasoning was, if he goes here, I will take it like this. Then he goes, and I will be able to take it, and I suppose that he might end up with an extra pawn, I guess. But I had a reasoning. I really did have a reasoning. Let me see where the heck I was. If he were to take here, then I would take with this one, but yeah, we sort of had this doubled up pawn attack here, and I let him choose. So what he did is he went here. I didn't want to take this way because then my pawn is still under attack. So instead of taking that way, I took this way. Now he is attacking my unprotected knight, and I retreat. So instead of moving forward and trying to maybe position him here, which was another one of my options, I didn't want to isolate my pawns at this time, because if he took and I took, now I got an isolated pawn. I retreated and hopefully somehow getting around to this pawn and taking it out. He's trying to open up this line now. And this is where I'm kind of repositioning this knight to now try to attack more on this side, try to attack this bishop. He took, he's trying to open up this line here. I take the bishop. Now, I took the bishop with sort of a couple of different reasons, one of which is this bishop is very strong this way. He's helping to take out my pieces. If I were to take it right away, he would go in here and take it with the bishop. And now he's got a strong bishop. I don't like that. So instead of taking his pawn here, I went ahead and took his bishop. And by taking the bishop, I actually put myself in a situation where I'm attacking the rook here. So I am making him force himself to do something quick here, some kind of an exchange. And he did. He took a second to kind of work on that. Now I took the pawn, because otherwise I would have lost the pawn. And so I went ahead and took. And he went ahead and took my rook here. I took the rook back. Nothing's lost. I'm still protecting this more or less, kind of ish, maybe not. At this point, probably would end up losing it, because all he would have to do is kind of go here. But maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. He went with the pawn forward because he figured now it's time to uncouple his pawns, undouble his pawns, I guess. I took it. He went ahead and took it back. So now he's got one isolated pawn, but at the same time, it's a pawn that can sort of reach the other side readily, so it becomes more dangerous. But at least I'm kind of holding it back here. Now it's time for me to try to promote my pawn, or at least by pushing it closer, I'm making him force him to focus on this pawn here, which he does. He immediately goes here. I know my pawn here is still protected, so that's fine. I went here. The analysis says it's not the best move, but I figured I'm going to go ahead and start pushing these pawns here. This is where all the action is going to happen. He pushed his pawn here, kind of stopping the progression of my pawn. Now I create a double so that I can continue promoting it. He goes here, and I push this pawn forward. I figured I'm going to go ahead and do something like that along the lines at some point. He went here. He recognized that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to take his pawn, because I realized this pawn's not protected. It's not protected right now. He would have to push this rook back. And he goes here, double attack. I don't care. This is a good move now. If I take this, which is exactly what I've done, I went here and I took it because I saw this. It was a free pawn right now. If he was to take it with a rook, he would have lost a rook. If he was to take it with a bishop, which is what he has done, he recognized, hey, free, I move back here. And all of a sudden it's like, uh-oh, now I got a double attack. Nothing is protecting this guy. He can't readily go back and protect him because he's a different color. All of a sudden, he's at a trap. That's a problem. So he goes and takes, and I took. And now, this is kind of the nice part here. He pushes forward, and I recognize that the king is kind of stuck. Now his pawns are stuck as well. Look, the king has to get out from here in order to, he can't get through here, right? So we got this sort of a sealed off king, more or less. He goes here because I'm assuming he's trying to find some kind of a way. I go here. Now this is important. You can't let the king out. And then he goes here because I'm thinking he's trying to sort of provide a way to keep everything protected. But you'll see here in just a second it's going to fail. So he pushes his king here. The biggest thing to recognize here is the king is stuck. The pawns are stuck, the bishop is stuck, everything is stuck. Literally, what I do here is you'll see me, I go here, and then the king tries to come back. I think at this point, the king realizes he needs to find a way to get out. And this is where I figured, well, okay, well, maybe I should start walking. But I was like, no, wait a second. Because he's could be coming out here, okay? On his next move, he could come out here. And the problem is I would have a really hard time finding a spot to position. If my king was here, I would have to move, and then if I were to move, he would escape, okay? So I really didn't want to do that. So instead of moving my king, this was a very important point, I went ahead and I put my rook here. I want to prevent him from moving out at all, literally keep him stuck. And he recognizes it, I think, right over here. And then here I walk. I literally can walk all the way across the whole board, which is pretty much what I've done. Avoiding the light pieces because he's got a light square bishop. He can't move out. It's like a trap here. I'm literally taking the biggest time. I could have went all the way down here and come back here, and he can't. He just can't get out, and I recognize that. Now I go here. Now I'm not really afraid of him doing this. This is silly. It's not really going to serve anybody any purpose because I'll take him right away. But he could escape at that point, I guess. But still, it's not going to be much of an escape here. So he, I guess, walks up here. I go up here. This is where he's going to sort of try to... I give him a check. Now I want to push him in and I want to bring my king in here. This is what I'm ultimately striving to do. Now I put my king closer here. He goes up here. I take, so my first pawn, my first trophy of being able to sort of demobilize him. He really doesn't have any moves at this point. Now I go up here. My biggest thing is I don't want to stalemate him. None of his pieces, I mean, his bishop can move, but I don't want to create a problem here to where he can get stalemated. Now he's sort of preventing me from checkmating him. He's literally just kind of moving the bishop around, and then I go here. Now I'm trying to lock him in. I know the moves he can make, but I'm just trying to lock him in best I can. He's not moving his king around. That's important. So now I'm going to try to take the pieces. He goes back. He's like, hey, I'm going to protect my pieces. I go here. King goes here. Now this is going to be an important point. I go up here. And he goes up at this point, and I was running out of time because this was a 10-minute game and I had like 1 minute left. So I needed to act fast, otherwise I was going to lose. The opponent had like 5 minutes. I'm always running out of time, but who cares? This is the point where I'm like, hey, if he was here, I wouldn't have done it, but he's here, he's too far away. I take it. I sacrifice, take one. He went ahead and took here. And this is where I go ahead and take. He tries to move in quick as best as he can. And voila, now I have all these pieces. Now the problem is he's going to want to try to get stalemated or run me out of time. He's moving up. He's literally trying to cram himself into a corner. And now we have this. I push my pieces forward. He's literally going to try to keep himself in the square so that I could stalemate himself and get a draw out of this. I don't like that. You know, when people are losing, just lose, or don't try to outplay at this point. It's just like, come on, man. Look, he's literally trying to get himself into a square so I could make a mistake potentially. This is where I go, look, he goes back into that square. If I make this move here, it's a draw. If I make this move here, it's a draw. So instead, I go here. And now he has to take this piece. He's forced to take it. And I get to the other side, right over here. Now he moves up here. And I push, check. He moves here, and now I promote to a queen. Check. At this point, like, come on, dude. You know you're gonna lose. Don't try to trick yourself into getting a draw. And I went here, and at this point, he had like 2 minutes left on his clock, and he just kind of sort of left the room. Yeah, I still run the risk of him sort of not having any moves because I have to be careful here. I have like 30 seconds left on my clock, and I have to make sure that I provide him with space for him to move, because at this point, I gave him a check. He's gonna probably go here, or more likely go here, and I have to push him like maybe here, and then he's gonna have to like go here, but I have to make sure that I don't do something like this, because otherwise it's a stalemate. I have to sort of play it really carefully at this point. It's very important not to mess up. But anyways, it's a game, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Thanks for watching. This here is how this particular chess set will look on the other board that's also provided with this chess set. The dark and white, or the black and white silicone board. The black and white one, although the light pieces, being that they're beige, have somewhat of a distinctive color to where they don't blend in with the light squares as much. I feel like that cannot be said of the dark pieces. The dark pieces are, like, they're not as black as the squares, but they're pretty close. So if I had to choose between the two boards on which I would play regularly, I would probably choose the green and white instead of the black and white board. I would very unlikely ever play on this one here. I know there are some people that
really like this particular color.
Well, there you have it. That's my review of the perfect chess set. Like I said, I will leave you guys a link below in the description, so check out this product. My opinion is, as far as a chess set goes, the pieces themselves are well made. They're nice and heavy. I think the pawns were kind of surprisingly heavy. I figured most of the time the pawns, even like the heaviest chess sets that I've seen, the pawns would be like more along the lines of 25 grams. Here we've seen the pawns were like 35 grams, so that's pretty heavy, pretty cool to see. You get a really nice chess set. So I would probably say that if they included vinyl chessboards instead of the silicone ones, I would like that probably a little bit better, just because like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of silicone, but it's a nice chess set. It's pretty good. Thank you for taking the time to watch my game with me. Let me know what you think about this particular chess set. Let me know what you think about the game that I showed you guys. Like I said, I was kind of in a mood to share, and hopefully everybody stays in a good, positive mood. Play some chess. Be sure to hit the like, comment below, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye-bye.